And going over them, they are as follows. The owner shall cease operations of the real estate no later than December 31st, 2025, and allow ample time prior to December 31st, 2028 to ensure that all equipment, structures, vehicles, materials, stockpiles, debris, waste, or any other item that was not present prior to the initiation of the owner's project are removed. So that means cease operations of the concrete mixing plant no later than end of 2025, end of this year. Number 2, all restoration directives described in Section D of the commitment shall occur not later than December 1st, 2028, meaning that, also not later than December 1st, 2028, the owner shall provide commissioners with soil samples, soil sample reports showing no contamination. So basically put it back the way you found it. Number 3, owner must conduct soil testing in a time frame that in the event that there is contamination, as described in Section D, there is time for remediation, and the remediation occurs prior to December 1st, 2028. Number 4, the results of any and all soil tests are done on the real estate shall be provided to the commissioners by sending reports to the county attorney. Number 5, the real estate shall return to agricultural zoning designation not later than December 1st, 2026. Number 6, by October 1st, 2026, the owner shall petition the commission to be placed on the agenda for the November 2026 commission meeting for the real estate to be rezoned from industrial general to agricultural. Number 7, no further debris or material shall be added to the current stockpiles on the real estate, and no new stockpiles shall be created. So that's an important addition from the Plan Commission. And also an important addition, number 8, after rezoning from industrial general to agricultural in 2026, while restoration and cleanup of the real estate continues, the remaining stockpiles shall be considered a non-conforming use until December 31st, 2028. So that is the rundown of the Plan Commission's decision. You can see in my first page of my staff report here, we did receive some remonstrance or concern from the community, but also understanding, just wanted assurance that in a timely manner this site would be cleaned up. And we received an email from the highway engineer opposing any extension, as the site is causing a bit of a issue with our county road system there. So anyway, I'm going to turn it over to Stoneland representatives, unless you have any comments for me, or?
No, not yet.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning.
Steve Ellsbury. In my capacity as an attorney here in Greenfield, I work with Dan Straw and John Apple at 8 West Main Street, Greenfield, Indiana. I have representatives of Milestone with me today that can hopefully answer any questions. Kayla did a good recitation of this. I was brought on in late 2024 as local counsel. I was not the prior local counsel. Immediately upon being brought on, we tried to address this issue. I came before the commissioners in December of 2024 to bring this to your attention, and I got the directive that you took no action and you would prefer me to go through the route of the Plan Commission. We did that. We filed a petition to modify this commitment prior to the end of 2024. We were placed on the January agenda of the Plan Commission. We were continued to the March meeting. We had lengthy discussion at the March meeting, very lengthy. We were then continued again with directive for me to work with Rhonda Cook on the commitments. We went back and reviewed the county commissioner's video of July 19th, 2022, where Mike Dale read the commitments into the record. So then we came back at the April Plan Commission with that information. We worked, it was probably, Commissioner McDaniel knows, it was a lengthy meeting. It went long. Cussed and discussed, and the Plan Commission came with a favorable recommendation with those conditions that Kayla read to try to address this issue, hopefully in a manner that both sides can work with. My clients agree to these commitments. We do not believe the initial commitments had an end date. In reviewing the commissioners' meeting at the 2-hour and 18-minute mark, Commissioner Huber asks Mike Dale, "It's got a sunset for the end use by 2024. Is there any provision on when this has to be torn down, cleaned up, and removed?" Mike Dale states unequivocally no. Commissioner Huber says then there's no time frame on this. Mike states no, that's a good thought. So with that information, we brought that to the Plan Commission, and they crafted those end dates to try to clean this up for everybody. I think we've addressed all the relevant zoning issues. There may be other issues that the commissioners have that are outside of the zoning issues, but we would ask that you take the favorable recommendation from the Plan Commission that was 7-2 and adopt the commitment modification with those conditions. If you have any questions, like I said, I've got folks that can answer technical questions. I think this puts some loose ends on it from when I was not involved prior, ties it up cleanly, and talk with your legal counsel. Happy to answer any questions you have.
I think what the Planning Commission did for the most part was tie it up cleanly, but it's my knowledge too, the commissioners can add that commitment. That's more stringent.
I was going to say that we can't actually do anything that is less stringent, because then that would have to go back to the Plan Commission, but we can make the conditions for the time extension more stringent.
And the time extension was where the commissioners had challenges with the 2028 timeline.
So there are two facets here, and it's why it took multiple Plan Commission meetings. The actual land use that required a special exception is the temporary concrete plant. And that use should be done relatively quickly by the end of the summer, hopefully maybe a little bit in the fall of 2025. So that use can be done relatively quickly, and that's addressed in the conditions as well. The issue is trying to get the site restored back to move the piles. And we had that lengthy conversation with the Plan Commission, and from a feasibility standpoint, just to try to withdraw those piles, it's going to take some time, and that's where the numbers were 2028.
It's an issue for us because we're trying to get an environmental study done there as well. We realize.
And we've talked about that, and if we knew, if we knew what that environmental study was, we want to be good partners with the county. We will do everything in our power to make sure that is completely done and taken care of. Whatever you need, if you let us know. I don't want to speak out of turn, but that's my understanding, is whatever environmental studies you need right now, we will commit to working with as far as.
Be done and effective with all the stockpile there?
I believe, it depends on what exactly it is, but I believe so. I don't want to speak out of turn.
It's testing the
It really
soil
depends.
underneath the pile is what it is.
And so my understanding on environmental studies is they go from place to place on site. And if there's a specific place that's needed, I'd like to speak on that. Yeah. We know for sure, I think that may be Liz Larner, she's general counsel for Milestone.
Mm-hmm.
I guess our confusion is, of course, we want to be good partners, and we just want to understand what the environmental studies are about. This is our property. We're happy to grant access, but we don't know anything about it. No one has ever said, this is what we need to do, here's why. So whatever you need to do and why, we'd like to know, and then how can we do that together and make it effective? We're happy to do that.
I think the environmental study comes along with any proposed interstate interchange that's supposed to be there, and we have one scheduled with NDOT in the future.
Right. In the future, I mean, what we've heard is as early as 2029, as late as 2030.
Potentially, but some project could potentially speed that up, and you never know what the governor of the state could do to make that happen any quicker.
Sure. So our request was, and what they approved was to allow us the opportunity to use our best faith efforts to do it as quickly as possible, but give us until 2028, because attempting to move all of those stockpiles out of there by the end of anything earlier is just very hard, because there's an up and down market. We're selling constantly, we're getting rid of it constantly, but the market is not predictable. We have some experts here who have been doing that, so they can certainly speak. But the idea is to continue to reduce it. I think it sounds like within the time frame that we're talking about, any environmental study that needs to be done, I think we could still make that work.
Well, while doing that, though, while it may sound like you said it's challenging, it didn't sound like it could not be done, and I believe the commissioners have a different deadline, timeline for those stockpiles to be removed. I know our legal counsel has a list of conditions for the time extension that have some edits and reads that he will read into the record
Yes.
here.
I think it'd be
As this
helpful to
goes.
do that maybe now, and then you guys can digest that and respond to
Let
it.
me get my notes out, because it's.
Yeah. It's similar to what the plan commission approved, but there are some changes.
And you're sure that it's okay to not go back to the plan commission?
Yes.
Okay.
These are more stringent. So the first one is, the owner shall cease all operations on the real estate no later than December 31st, 2025, and allow ample time prior to December 31st, 2026. Now, there's where there's a big change. And to ensure that, well, let me just get through these. Yeah. To ensure that all equipment, comma, structures, comma, vehicles, comma, materials, comma, stockpiles, comma, debris, comma, waste, or any other item that was not present prior to the initiation of the owner's project are removed, and for completion of cleanup. Removal of debris shall be the only application allowed. And then here's two. All restoration directives described in Section D of the commitment shall occur not later than December 31st, 2026. Also not later than December 31st, 2026, the owner shall provide the commissioners with soil sample reports showing no contamination as described in Section D of the commitment. So I think in Section D of the commitment, there is a little more meat on what the environmental is that we need. Number three, owner shall conduct soil testing in a time frame that in the event there is contamination, as described in Section D, there is time for remediation. And the remediation must occur prior to December 31st, 2026. 4, the results of any and all soil tests that are done on the real estate shall be provided to the commissioners by sending the reports to the county attorney. So there's no change in that. Number 5, the real estate shall return to agricultural A zoning designation not later than December 31st, 2026. And as you know, that time period passed this last December. There was no petition filed to change the zoning designation back to agricultural. And that's,
There was no requirement to.
no, you were asking for an extension of time.
There was still no requirement by a date certain to petition back to ag in the original commitments.
Well, I think we disagree about.
We certainly do, because.
So,
we'll talk-
okay, let me finish.
Plan Commission
So
counsel.
number 6, by October 1st, 2026, the owner shall petition the commission to be placed on the agenda for the November 26th commission meeting for the real estate to be rezoned from industrial general to agricultural A, period. 7, no further debris or material shall be added to the current stockpiles on the real estate, and no new stockpiles shall be created. 8, after operations have ceased on the real estate, which is required no later than December 31st of this year, 2025, while restoration and cleanup of the real estate continues, the remaining stockpile shall be considered a non-conforming use until December 31st, 2026. Now, here's two that the commissioners are requiring that were not part of the plan commission recommendation. This is number 9. If the operations have not ceased by December 31st, 2025, and or the restoration of the real estate described in Section D of the commitment has not occurred by December 31st, 2026, owner shall be subject to fines of $1,000 per day for each day of noncompliance, period. Noncompliance shall be in the discretion and determined by the board of directors. Number 10, the time extension permitted in Section B of the commitment is valid only if the owner executes the commitment of which this Exhibit C is a part of, within 30 days of Board of Commissioners approval of ordinance number 2025. And then that'll have a number assigned to it. So that's where we are right now. And you guys, I think the commissioners are welcoming your response to that. I don't know if you can be prepared to talk about
Can we
that.
speak about that for a minute?
Yeah, sure.
Makes a motion to approve claims and payroll.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded. We approve claims and payroll as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Got some travel requests.
And I'm getting ready to find that real quick here because I got it here somewhere. Here we go.
One other ordinance to discuss as well. I know Sarah's included it with your packet, if you'd be so kind, and if we have time.
If it's not on the agenda, it's not going to be heard. Sorry. Because we are going to be running out of time here in a little bit.
I make them, we have out-of-state permission for travel to a national conference for our folks over at E911. One is for airfare, meals, and conference fees for John Jokanis, our director, at $2,862.
All those at
Yeah.
once, so everybody,
Okay.
if you just name.
And John Collins in the amount of $3,074. And Kelsey Jones in the amount of $3,174. So there are three permission for out-of-state travel.
Second.
From E911.
It's been moved and seconded that we grant the permission to travel out of state to John Jaconis, Kelsey Jones, and John Collins for the National NINA Conference from 6/22/25 to 6/26/25 as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Further business?
Sorry?
You got any business?
Yeah, just a couple of things. Since we're talking about out-of-state travel, I know that Judge Davis was here, out-of-state travel that was approved. Our ordinance for travel does cover ground transportation. So I just told him that I would mention this. He said that not quite sure who came on his behalf because I wasn't here, but they'd failed to mention that they were going to be having a car when they landed there, that they needed a car vehicle. I would bring that to your attention. I ratify that it's in the ordinance that ground protect covered, but I don't necessarily know it was on their approval or their submission for approval. So I just wanted to bring that up and see if you guys are okay with that, that when they land their rental car.
Were they paying for it out of their own?
Their own budgets. Yeah, they've got the money for it. It just, he felt, he wanted to make sure that it would be covered. And it's in the ordinance, but I wasn't here, so I didn't see his travel request. So I just thought I would bring it up.
Okay.
So that you guys could, I don't know, make a ruling on that and I could add that to his
And
list.
it's for Judge
It's for the judge and a conference that they're going to, I think.
Judge Davis?
Yes, and that his group is going.
We approved their
The
travel.
All Rise Conference.
Rise. And you said that approval for them to do the car was within our
It
county
is,
policy?
yeah, the ground transportation in our ordinance for our meals and lodging travel, it is covered.
So a motion to approve that travel per our ordinance.
So moved.
Okay.
Thank you.
Which would include their rental
Yes.
car.
Okay.
Yes.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the judge and the group that he's going with the All Rice Conference to approve travel as stated by our ordinance. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Then we have, I think Bill, you may have been copied on this email, and I don't know if Corey's still in here or not, but the Greenfield Parks Department has sent us an invoice. Originally, when I got the email, I thought that we had gone ahead and paid it without Corey's authorization because it came out of his budget. But honestly, what it is it is an invoice that's addressed to the commissioners, and it's dated for work to be done between May 14th and October 8th. So we
that
have
the-
not paid that invoice. We don't pay those in advance. But it typically has been paid out of building maintenance.
Is that the flowers that they plant for
Yes.
everyone?
Yes. So, and I know that there are other things that are out of building maintenance that used to be under your jurisdiction, but you moved that over to facility maintenance budget. So one, I would like your approval to go ahead and reach out to Parks Department and see if we couldn't get billed after, or at least during each phase of the work, because we can't pay in advance.
Granted,
And then the ruling on, do you want that to continue to be paid out of facility maintenance, or do you want to move that back under you?
if that's where we've continued to pay from it before, let it be paid out of that, but in a monthly form that you can, so they can't get ahead of the game and pay for everything because of the rule. That
Yeah.
sounds,
Okay.
so we'll make a motion that we allow Deb Carnes, our auditor, to contact the Greenfield Parks Department to discuss bill for flowers and other miscellaneous items and how that needs to be done for the auditor's office to receive.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the auditor, Deb Carnes, to contact the Greenfield Parks Department, to speak to them about bills received, about flowers and other miscellaneous items and how they need to be paid back to the auditor's office to get covered. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
And then, just so you know, we always for you, and it's a monthly, and always done. We do, if your name is on that invoice, we typically go ahead and process those, as long as it's not something that needs to be paid out of a bond, or it's just, it's one-off, otherwise we go ahead and pay those. If it is addressed to a department head, those invoices go to the department heads for them to authorize those payments. So I just wanted to make sure that we were clear on that, because I think there was some confusion on the email. I don't know why, but I just thought I would bring that up. So that, and if you're okay that we continue doing it that way, I want to make sure that
If it works, if it works well with what you guys are trying to accomplish, the operation, no problem.
Okay, I've got two more things. So
We said a couple.
well, it just adds up. I don't know where it comes from. So we've got the budget transfer for in the CCD Corey facility maintenance. We have found $29,724.30. If we transferred it from the equipment line, transfer from account 44406 equipment, or we could transfer from building, miscellaneous building to pay for Bernie's
Furniture.
we would be very appreciative, and we could do that with your blessing. And we do have quite a bit. Corey hasn't touched.
Bernie, you don't want this money moved from an account to pay your furniture, right?
But we're moving it out of facility maintenance into Bernie's line, but
we're
it's all
allowed
under
to do
your
that
fund.
Because it's under the commissioner's fund.
It's under your fund, and Corey does have 300 and, he has 180 and miscellaneous building expense, and he has 170, and he hasn't touched.
We were, again, it was on that, and we have to figure this out, so it was on that push to spend down the bonds per Greg Garitas.
Yes.
So that left some of those things unused, which we could potentially transfer some monies to pay for other things.
Yes.
An eye on that.
So if we could, and he's got 170 in the equipment line, and the miscellaneous building expense 180. Equipment line might be a little bit better just because it might match up with furniture. I don't know, but it's well within the transfer policy that we could do that if you're so agreeable.
Are you agreeable?
Absolutely.
You
Yep.
agreeable? Okay, motion, let's just make a motion to move those funds from, what was it, building maintenance to,
Miscellaneous building expense or equipment.
Equipment. What equipment be
move the
better?
funds from equipment to
Bernie's,
Bernie's Furniture.
building, yeah, miscellaneous building expense,
Okay.
to furniture and equipment.
I need a second.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that we allow the transfer of funds within our commissioner budget from equipment line to Bernie Harris's IT line to pay for furniture for his downstairs offices.
Gary, can you get that?
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Up at the top there. Thank you. And then the last thing that we have is just another disbursement payment that I could get a signature on for Amplify.
Make a motion that we sign or approve the disbursement for the project Amplify as presented. Do we have it? Third page, in the amount of $3,461,263.45 as submitted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the affidavit for construction fund disbursement in an amount not to exceed $3,461,263.45 as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And this is request number 5. Wanted to add that. Motion passes.
That's all I've got.
More than a couple.
Bernie Harris and the camera switch proposal. Gary, this, your signature there.
Well, good morning, gentlemen, ladies. I made a mistake on a quote for the switches for the video network. I didn't include, it's called DNA software for the switches. I thought we didn't have to have it, but I found out from Cisco that that is needed on all new switches. So what that is, DNA stands for Digital Network Architecture. That's how they manage their whole network. So and they wouldn't include that on all their switches now. So I underquoted that quote. I don't have the original quote. Do you have that in front of you? I have a new quote.
I've got the one that they're wanting signed.
Yes, but I got a new quote this morning.
Oh,
Right before I came
boy.
I asked for.
So you got a grand total?
So I got a grand total for all of them. That's a little bit better for both of them. So it's 1,000 for both.
And where is that, where are we paying those monies out of?
Don't know where you were. Purdue and
Did we earmark any of that out of the 2020?
I don't have it listed.
Can we make it,
It's on 123?
and 233. Two different switches.
So do we need to, my question then is, do we need to split those? Because 123 was paid out of one bond and,
Sarah's looking it up.
okay. Well, the only bond now we have left though is, and I don't know if I don't want to get us in trouble for going back and forth between bonds.
So can we make the motion to be determined?
Yes.
Well, that's the cost for the equipment. So
okay.
We'll pay it with a cost, or the fund to be paid out of, to be determined at a later
Okay,
date.
all right.
Making motion to approve quote number 167-024-4425, which is switches for electronics, and in a total amount not to exceed $10,137.41.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We approve the quote from Bernie Harris from Connection Public Sector Solutions for network switch updates to be paid or in an amount not to exceed $10,137.41 to be paid out of a fund to be determined at a later date. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Now, do we need to sign these?
No.
Okay.
No.
Does this need a signature on it somewhere?
It's just a
It's
quote.
Or is
just a
it just a
quote.
quote?
I'll order it. You say it's okay to order, I'll order
It's
it.
okay to
so.
order it.
Okay.
And so Bernie, when you first came up, you said it was decreased to 15,000.
Yeah, and I don't know where that
Saying
is
10,000.
actually, I just got that right before, I talked to you, and then I got this right before, they took off more.
Oh, okay, so
So-
that is the right amount,
Yeah.
10,000.
So-
Okay, so 15 was low, but this is lower.
Lower, because they thought I was
Okay.
gonna go somewhere else.
I just want to make sure I didn't have the wrong number.
We'll keep them thinking
Guessing
that.
there, Bernie.
Thank you.
So, okay.
All right.
Thank you.
I think that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll let you know after we take a look at that Excel sheet.
Okay. Are we ready to go back to Stoneland yet?
Corey, did you
Steve,
need anything?
Steve,
Steve
Are you-
Ellsbury,
are
are
you
you
guys
guys
ready?
ready to go, or do you just have a hold?
I don't have the language that Mr. Brady read right in front of me, but what I will say is that we have a counter proposal because the 2026 deadline to remove everything is not feasible for us, and we will not agree to liquidated damages. We have technical experts here. We've been in the industry for decades, and we understand what we need to do and how we can do it. It's impossible for us to move all of those materials out by the end of 2026. So what we would propose to agree to is to make every good faith effort and attempt to remove all of the materials by the end of 2027, with the caveat that we could come back by June 30th of 2027 and show progress made, but to the extent that we can't get it out by December 31st of 2027, that this group would, in good faith, also consider giving us an extension to allow us the time to do that. So we have shaved off a year from what your planning commission approved, 7-2, and we will use every best faith effort that we can to remove it by 2027. But we will not agree to liquidated damages, and we would like the caveat so that we could come back and petition to get an extension if we realize by June 30th of 2027 that we need it. Is there anything else?
Scott, are we allowed to caucus to discuss that?
we just can't make a decision
Right.
if we discuss it.
Right. Can we
But
go
we can,
to
yes.
caucus?
May I make one more?
Is there any
suggestion?
other, okay, let me just make sure that I have it. So you want the liquidated damages provision stricken. You would agree to December 31st, 2027, but you want an opportunity to ask for one more 6-month extension to June of 2028?
Yeah, I think that would be appropriate. That's a good date. We could, that would
Are
be
those the
fine.
terms?
I would also like to say that we would need to modify some of the language because the way it's written right now, it seems that we can't use our property for anything through some of these dates, and so we'd like the opportunity to at least make sure that we can do what we're still doing right now. through
Well, I
certain
think,
dates.
but I think we're asking you cease the operations is the issue.
The NDOT project will be completed by the end of 2025, and so anything related to completing that project, we would agree to cease those operations. But as far as equipment, as far as, there just might be certain activities that are required for us to wrap up a project that we would still need to make sure that we could do that without being in violation.
Do those activities include increasing the stockpile of what you have out there?
No, they do not.
Only for this project, nothing else.
We have gotten rid of all concrete. We will produce the concrete. We haven't done it yet because we'd be in violation, but we would produce the concrete for that project only. The only thing that's sitting there right now are dirt piles, and I know they're not pretty to look at, but that's what's there. It's dirt, a lot of dirt, and it's hard to move it. But we have a whole record of sales that we are consistently moving that dirt every single day by the truckload, and we would continue to do that. But if there are other things that we need to do in order to wrap up a project, which is typical and common in our industry, we need the ability to do that.
Site, remove the dirt, not being violated. But it needs to be crystal clear.
I do. I mean, I think we are working together in good faith with you. I don't know if we've actually met that yet or not. I mean, and I know what the planning recommendation is, but the final recommendation comes from this body.
Yep, agreed.
All right, well, is there anything else before we confer on that?
I guess the only thing is, if we can't come to an agreement, my position, and smack me if I speak out of line, is that all the petition cost $400,000, $500,000,
450.
400, bound by the original commitments. That's sort of where we're at.
We're already in the process of moving the location because we had a May 1st deadline in order to make sure that we can complete the project on time for NDOT, to avoid those liquidated damages and more extensions of time and delay of project, which will happen if we have to move the plant. But that's what we're currently prepared to do because we're not going to operate in violation of what we committed.
We're only a couple days outside the May 1, so here. All right.
Great.
Go to,
Do you have anything else we need to cover on the meeting, or?
I don't think we have anything with this. We've got some additional items after this if you want. I'd like to go get this resolved so we can move out. Decision.
Continue on our business.
Next item up on our agenda, Zach Rice with Thomas Miller and Associates.
Good morning.
Morning.
Let's see. Technology's on. You can see. Perfect. Well, good morning. President Spalding, thank you so much, Commissioners, for inviting me here today to talk about this very important project we've been working on for the last, 6 months. Again, I'm Zach Rice. I'm a homegrown Hoosier with 20-plus years of experience in public policy, government affairs, economic development, and of course, you're probably aware of TPMA. I thought Tom Miller was going to be here today to cheer me on, but he's not. But TPMA is a national consulting firm that started right here in Hancock County about 35 years ago. We've grown since then. We have up to 50 consultants now across the country. We're doing work everywhere from Humboldt County, California to Charlotte, North Carolina, and everywhere in between. So today, what we're here to talk about is the economic impact analysis for childcare in Hancock County. So the first thing that I wanted to do was cover the definition of childcare. So childcare is not babysitting. It's an essential foundation of both early education and economic prosperity. It's essentially the work that enables all other work to be possible, right? So we see it as a vital good. It strengthens families, businesses, and society. Okay, so with that said, what did the report look like? What did we set out to do? We essentially wanted to analyze the potential economic impact of expanding accessible and affordable childcare in Hancock County. Once you take a look at the report, it's broken down into 3 sections: data analysis, community solutions, and recommendations. So I'm going to spend the majority of the 49 minutes I think you guys said I had. Just kidding. 9 minutes. 9 minutes that I have going over the data analysis portion, because once you dig into it, that's probably the bulk of the report. And I just wanted to give you a little more information about what the graphs are and what you're looking at and how we went through those. Also, I'm going to talk a little bit about the recommendations, but let's start with the data analysis. The first thing I'd always like to do is throw up a graph that's super overwhelming, probably difficult to see, and somewhat confusing, but I'll walk you through it. What we're looking at here on the very far left, you'll see, well, you can barely see it. So that's a dark blue and a dark green. So those are the number of children under the age of 6 in Hancock County next to the total population. So what you'll see year over year, we projected from 2024 to 2034. So we forecasted out. You'll clearly see that those numbers increase as population increase, the number of children increase. So I wanted to draw your attention to that. So you see where all of those lines converge right at the beginning in 2024? That's right under 2,000. That number's 1835. Those are the current number of child care seats available in Hancock County. So from there, you can clearly see where 1835 is, up to roughly 4,000. That number is actually 4,027. That means that there's currently a deficit in Hancock County of 2,192 seats. The demand's up here. 1835 is the current capacity. That difference is 2192. So if you forecast out over the next decade, you'll see with no change, that will increase, that deficit will increase to roughly 2,776, right? So that's what that first dotted line is that goes all the way across. That remains steady at 1835 over the next 10 years. That's a 0%. That means you won't lose any seats, but you don't gain any seats as well. That first dotted brown line that scrolls up, that would be a 6% increase. The one above that is an 8% increase. And then when we get to a 10%, that's where we see the equilibrium point to where the supply and demand would eventually meet. So what that 10% is telling you, year over year for the next decade, that's how many new seats you need to introduce into Hancock County to reach the demand point by 2034. So if that didn't make sense, let me throw some numbers to say this in a different way. Obviously, we clearly determined there's 1835 current seats. There's a deficit of 2192. You'll need a 10% increase year over year for the next decade to reach the equilibrium point, which is 2761. And if nothing is done, as of right now, there would be a deficit of nearly 3,000 seats in the next decade. To put in perspective, at the very bottom, what I've just underlined will show you year over year the number of seats that would need to be created to reach that equilibrium point, which is 184 this year, 202 next year, 222, and so on. All right, so with that good news, let's talk about the next step in the analysis. So now that we know the supply and the demand, we wanted to focus in on work-willing parents. So work-willing parents is defined of parents that have children under the age of 6 years old that are currently not employed in the workforce in Hancock County that would like to be employed in the workforce in Hancock County, but they're unable to because of lack of availability or the inability to afford childcare. That's the definition of work willing. And how do we get that number? So essentially what we do, we collect all the data on population. We look at birth rates in the county. We look at ACS through the census, and we pull all of that information together. So we know the number of children. We convert that into what's called household composition, either two-parent households, one-parent households. We break that down. We've originally pulled all of the data from national sources to show us what the work willingness is. We've taken that and we developed our own model adjusting for the impacts of COVID. And then, of course, we've done 20 reports now in 8 states, so we've been able to develop a pretty thorough methodology. Then we essentially just plug in the Hancock County information into those models. And what we came up with, as of today, there are 521 work-willing parents in Hancock County right now. So we'll focus on the 521. So we have to convert those parents that are willing to get back into the workforce, and we'll have to monetize that. So what we look at is their salary ranges. So this is another graph that you'll see in the report that may be confusing, but I'll try to explain it to you today. You'll see 3 different colors. You see a light brown, a blue, and then a dark brown. The dark brown is essentially just an overlap. So we'll look at the blue. The blue is what's called, what we term as the mirror model. That means if those 521 persons were able to re-enter the workforce and enter it at this mirroring what the current workforce looks like, that's what that model is. Saying they would re-enter that workforce making the same amount of money as everyone in their peer group or their cohort in re-entering. Well, what we found, the problem with that is if somebody was offered a job making $80,000 to $90,000, they would likely re-enter the workforce in one way or another. So we've created another model called the downward adjusted model. So you'll see that skews to the left of your screen. And that pyramid point that goes to a point, that's basically the bell curve. That's the middle of the line. Let's say it's 50,000. So we adjusted it toward the lower paying jobs because those are the people that are unlikely to get back into the workforce right now because their pay wouldn't be greater than what they would have to pay for childcare currently of affordability. So that's the 2 different models. What doesn't change, obviously, is that there's 521 work-willing parents, no matter which model you look at, the downward adjusted or the mirror model. Just some of the figures change. So what we want to look at now is essentially the return on investment. If all of these workers were to re-enter the workforce, what would that look like? So the first number you'll see is their pay. The parental pay collectively between those 521 would be anywhere between $21 million and $28 million in direct pay. That would in turn create a gross regional product, which is just like the national GDP, but on a regional basis, the GRP would create about $45 million to $63 million. That in turn would create sales tax, property tax, income tax of roughly $3 million, and probably most importantly for us, the income tax. So the state would look to see $650,000 to $850,000 per year, and the county would look to receive $330,000 to $430,000 per year. So essentially just what this is saying, there is a gap here of 2,000 seats. We could immediately get roughly 500 back to work. And if there was an investment or subsidy from the county or the state, this is your fiscal impact. This would be your return on investment for subsidizing something along those lines for affordable housing. So those are the numbers. That's the data. I hope it wasn't too overwhelming. I don't want to go into drastic detail about the community solutions. Once you get your hands on the report, you'll see it's pretty self-explanatory. Essentially, that whole section will go over some of the best practices we've seen in the state of Indiana, throughout the country, some of the models that we've seen be successful, and some of the coalition building that we've seen successful. So you'll see tri-share model, you'll see employer-based solutions, and you'll see shared services model, things like that, but those are pretty self-explanatory. I did want to focus a little bit on some of the recommendations. So essentially, this is the first step in diagnosing before we prescribe. So this is what we recommend as a phase 2 would be additional stakeholder engagement. And what that essentially means is now that we have a high-level understanding of the challenges in Hancock County, this is where we would really delve into engagement with targeted folks, including employers, including employees, including service providers, including parents, to find out their very specific needs through surveys, through focus groups, through one-on-one. But this is really where we want to focus on the providers to know exactly what's being offered in the community and where there's some sort of gap. Also with businesses, it's very important to focus on those folks to see what their needs are and what they're hearing from their potential employees. So that turns into what we consider a gap analysis, so we can look to see where the deserts are, see where the issues are, if you need a 24-hour center, third shift, whatever that looks like. And then, of course, we would recommend a very specific type of model. We just recommended one in Hamilton County, and they've just started implementing their coalition. So then, of course, funding. Everyone always needs funding. The second phase is where the rubber meets the road, really. This translates into the concrete actions for long-term success. This is where we pull all of that information together and we put together the investment plan and the child care action plan. You build your partnerships, you secure your funding, you develop your KPIs and accountability, and then you launch, and that's it. 12 minutes, less than 15 minutes. Thank you so much. I'm happy to answer any questions in my 3-minute allotted time, or once you get the report, our contact information's on there. You can reach out to me anytime. I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Zach.
Thanks for your
Thank you
patience.
very much.
Yeah, of course.
Were you able to speak with Superintendent Parker? I know he was in the back of the room, and he probably got caught up and had to go someplace else, but I know he was interested in this.
As soon as we leave this meeting, now that this presentation has happened, I will send it to him right now. He's very excited to see it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Kelly Ellert, HR update.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I am here to request a shift in our, not a shift, but an upgrade to our benefits platform through Steel Benefits. This would give us new features that would allow us to fully utilize the platform. We're already using this under the AFLAC license. This allows us to move completely onto the Steel license for the Solaric system that we've been using since maybe 2020, before I've been here. So if you are acceptable of that, I would like to go ahead and get that taken care of before open enrollment comes.
What's the difference in price?
It is an average of $250 more per month. But we put a new product in place last year at open enrollment to mitigate some of the costs from moving to the new system. And it was budgeted to do this. So this has been kind of a year-long project for me to get it shifted.
We have it in our budget to pay.
We do.
Platform.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we, to the Steel Benefits platform presented by the HR Director, Kelly Ellert, to be paid for out of money that has already been budgeted in that account. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you.
And that's all on our agenda. I know we're holding, is there any public comment? So Okay.
Yeah, but now, I would go ahead and tell them to place that, I mean, it's going out this year. Them actually operate that and till the end, they're gonna be done by the end of the year anyway.
I thought we,
Well, but they didn't sign the agreement.
thought we were not letting them operate.
Cement part, we're not letting them add to the pile.
Yeah,
Right.
they've agreed not to do that.
Right.
So, I mean, they need the cement mixer to finish the project.
To operate?
Yes.
So your advice is to potentially hold off on putting stuff on the stockpile, but let the mixing, the concrete
Yes.
continue?
That way they can at least get that out of there. They said it'd be gone by the end of the year. They've gotten all the cement out of there, that's it. I'll have to drive by there.
They're still operating their.
I think they're still operating the cement mixer.
Corey's got that old.
I don't know if they're operating or not.
Oh, okay.
That's the question.
I don't know if it's been
Today too,
operations.
while you're out here looking at the building, ask Corey, I think today was the day the roof inspector was.
Okay.
Material problem.
Yeah.
Is the stockpiles in the way of any environmental assessments that we want to
That
do?
cannot be increased. They've already agreed with that.
We have no options to accelerate or do anything with the project right
We could recess this meeting and take Bill and
We need to make a decision whether we're gonna continue the issue.
Yeah.
Not a problem. Okay.
Because they're actually continuing to take the cement out.
In our conditions, we continue.
Okay, but in continuing it, they could still operate the mixer, but they know that they can't add.
That's what we're saying.
Okay.
Iterate that
Mm-hmm.
before
Probably a good idea.
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
And then,
Okay, yeah, gotcha. Okay.
So, I think we needed this a long time ago.
Oh, that training?
So,
That's a great use of that money.
yes, it is.
It is. I mean, if you continue to keep people doing these kind of things, it's definitely.
Zoning and then joining.
He always sends that out. The guy mainly to the north, the people to the south, and that's what I was
That's
gonna.
that's Steve's stuff.
And we didn't sign that, did we?
Mowing last night.
Yeah.
If not, we've signed a.
Did we?
signed
You
a-
guys must, maybe I just threw that up first. Thank you for that, but. Oh, okay.
But it's always good to have two. Thank you.
Thank you. This is a stone land here. Do we want to put that back in here or what?
The stone land, yeah, because we're not gonna do anything with it today.
Okay. Don't need that. Wanted.
You hear my stomach?
I'm gonna try to do. I ate like a
Stuff to sign back there.
I've got
Yeah, we
a
already
doctor
did.
visit tomorrow. After the whole, I gotta go see Gary's wife.
Yeah.
I wanna blow that blood test the doctor out of the water to see fasting blood stuff looks like. I mean, it's kinda nice, at least with friends. Thank you. I think we ought to get a picture in all of our work gear. And then we'll post it someplace. I won't tell you until afterwards.
Oh, okay.
I thought I looked really nice in my gear yesterday.
Your hard hat?
Yes, and my vest and my glasses.
Oh, did you want me to throw this away for you? Is that what
Yeah, please.
Okay. I like this side.
There you go, Doug.
I was like, okay.
They're separate.
You said we might be for you to sign one. Okay. I was like,
And I've gotta go back to work. I've gotta go back to work, and I realize I'm off today still.
Oh,
I wasn't gonna go into the cemetery. I was like,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, heartbeat.
You know, sometimes Doug Schillemeyer does our graves over at Zion,
yeah.
and there's still times they do them by hand. Backhoe. They're efficient doing it by hand.
How
Just
did they get
something
them
they've done.
square for crying
It's
out
just
loud?
something they've done for a long time. I'm like, I'm a backhoe guy. I'd be like, get
Oh,
on that.
yes, absolutely.
Gary, Janine called you two yesterday and told you about the plumbing issue at Community Corrections and that they'll be without water for a little while.
yeah.
And I think Morgan I responded to her. I think she texted all three of us. Well, maybe it was just me.
Probably just you, because I didn't get a text from her.
Position of land.
Here. Did she? I don't know if she. Doesn't look like she sent it. So I'll just share that. Pass it down again.
It's just about them working from home.
Oh.
Some of her staff would like to work from home, and I have no issue with that.
I think they're gonna plan on.
Guys can get that plumbing done a little bit quicker with.
Everything they're doing. The garage area, the basement,
And they have to cut it all off.
every last thing they could. Water back in from the opposite.
They bought.
Probably been about 50.
Yeah. Better to.
I don't have it to get it done. Anything we can do to speed that up, I mean.
The greatest.
Yeah.
By the time Corey and I came back in about the plan, had all of her people in the office.
They have to clarify.
Then we would,
You and I discussed this.
before we say we're gonna,
Well, let's see what.
okay. Come on down.
Morning again.
Yes.
We had one point we would like to clarify on a statement that was made here.
Let me just say, I mistakenly said that everything that's on there right now is only dirt, but Chad clarified that for me, so I'd like him to correct the record.
Okay.
Morning.
Good morning.
So I just wanted to clarify what Liz was saying. There's no more, there isn't any more concrete debris coming off of the project. That's completed. So we're not adding to the concrete pile.
But there is concrete in those piles.
Correct.
That's what you're.
And that is what we are,
Okay.
so we have.
Tell them your position as your project director for the site, right?
Yes, General Superintendent for Milestone.
Okay.
But yeah, I just wanted to clarify that we have obviously a dirt stockpile there. We have concrete stockpiles there as well. So the concrete is being processed there, but as far as any more concrete debris coming off of that project, it's complete. There's no more concrete being added. But and I will say from a dirt standpoint, some of the dirt stockpile that is there is coming back out and being placed on the project. There's a give and take. So some of it's coming in different areas, and some of it's going back out to complete the project, but only dirt. So that is kind of ebb and flow on the dirt pile. Chad, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that is the ditch operations as far as cutting the new ditches to grade. So there's there's fill. So that material's, but only dirt. But the concrete is complete from that standpoint, so.
And so the operations that are taking place is turning that concrete into aggregates and getting.
Correct.
And that's what we still need to have the authority to do so that we move everything and clean it up.
And I would be okay with that. I just don't want it, I don't want it added to the pile, the dirt pile. So that's, you can take it away.
Yeah,
You
we're
just can't-
we're subgrade treating stone placement in preparation for the concrete pavement to take place, the new concrete pavement to take place.
Okay.
So that's where we are in the project, in that last piece, which is where we need the concrete plant.
Okay.
I'd like to say for the record that you've been here for.
I've been with Milestone for 21 years.
So when we say what's feasible and what's not, I mean, these are the experts. Chad Ritter's been there.
Chad Rao's been here for 38 years, so 36 years.
So we're trying in good faith to tell you what we think is possible.
I understand it, but I know too what a highly motivated group of people can remove probably versus it can be done. Would it be, again, challenging to probably do it? Sure. And not it'd be probably a 24/7 operation with you guys just going like gangbusters to get it done. I don't.
Benefits and considerations made initially because For Lou Wedding Venue is there, and Commissioner Huber was adamant he did not want that to happen.
That's right. They specifically
Their
said
wedding
no nighttime
venue,
operations, no
absolutely.
lights.
That was back to the original commissioner meeting.
I was only saying that anecdotally, and the fact that, yeah, it could be done if it really wanted to be. Now, I know Commissioner Huber said what he said, but that doesn't mean that, yeah, if
Just trying to
it
explain
came,
what the rationale
it could
as
be
to
done.
why.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have that clarification. Their objective, they would like to know language they want to. Looking at the clarification.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't. Heartburn, and we can't. We have a couple of choices as Ronald. Decision as soon as possible. Trying to make compromise. We need to make sure we do it right. We don't need. The other thing would be they would withdraw the petition. To that. Those are kind of the options.
Right, I think our language is just to make sure that it's not written in a way that just by being on our property, trying to clean it up, we would be in violation of what we're committing to, right? That's not the intent. But I don't, because of this whole situation and how long it's taken us to get here, I want to make sure the language is clear. If we can land on a date by which we need to have the property cleaned up at the end of 2027 with the caveat that I asked for, and if we can make sure that the liquidated damages aren't in there, if we can have a decision today, I think we're in good shape. But we can't, we're in the middle of moving, and it takes a lot of effort to move a whole process. And so we can't continue to delay.
So in my opinion, we would continue this, but we would take this next 2 weeks to analyze all that language, come back or earlier with a decision.
She wants it, they're trying to get us to decide.
So I guess where I'm at with that is strictly from a concrete plant standpoint. The May 1st deadline that we had given before of needing an answer. Otherwise, we will have to relocate the plant, which Liz spoke. We're kind of in that process already because every day right now is affecting the all of our deadlines for the NDOT project. And so at the end of that, there are liquidated damages tied to that project, that we're up against right now. And so from a concrete division standpoint, in that concrete plant, they're basically outside the building waiting for an answer because we are in that process of we have no more time from the concrete plant standpoint.
You said that the concrete would be done when?
The concrete will be done with the concrete plant no later than August, weather depending.
Weather dependent, but no later than 2025.
Yes.
We can't produce concrete.
Correct.
After a certain time in
Yeah.
2025, but the
And
project should.
the current schedule shows that, weather depending, but that's the time period for the concrete plant.
They have not operated that concrete
Correct.
plant since 2024, based on my advice, because in my opinion, if they did that land use, they would be in violation of those original commitments. So it's sat there, it's still on site, but it's not been in operation since the end of
Since then.
2024.
Correct.
Right. In my opinion, though, we need to analyze what you want. We want our legal counsel to advise us like that, and it's not going to happen here in the next hour. But we will strive to get it done as quickly as possible. We'll call a special meeting if needed to get that done. We do understand things, but just like you with devil's in the details, it's in the details for us, because if we would have probably had some foresight, maybe we all wouldn't be here right now, but we are. And we want to make sure this is right and things go, and we're not continually calling you back, and we're not continually back.
You want to work on that language, right? Hand that to me.
I'm happy to do that. I'm concerned about our schedule. I'm concerned about.
Do
Because-
that would help.
Understood, but 2 weeks from now is
No, I'm
not
talking
an
about
acceptable.
I didn't say 2 weeks either, because we just said we could call a special meeting and come back and do that, and that's
We will call a special meeting.
That's
I don't
within
know
that-
if, but
that's within
can
that
we please
time.
set a special meeting so that we get this done, because otherwise, we're way past
We
where we
heard
need to
you.
be.
We heard you.
Could you
Right.
repeat what you said your conditions are that?
Oh, no.
That was what you read as far as adding, and I think there was one word in there that may have given you pause. Otherwise, I don't think.
All right, I'll go over that with you. Give me a minute.
Sure, absolutely.
Let me just make sure. That it, from your.
Yes.
So do we want to make a motion to continue now, and then you?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Right.
Scenario and. Or a special meeting.
Should be an open meeting.
Just come to a decision basically on whether it's in an open meeting or it's in a special meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we continue the Stone Land project until the commissioners, till the time the commissioners can decide on a course of action, whether it's in an open public meeting or a special meeting, to resolve this matter. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to, let's,
Getting to the end of it anyway.
yeah.
Special meetings are also.
We're doing this right now.
I understand, we just had a motion.
Have to advertise.
So we're just trying to get the date.
Because we're gonna make a decision here, and it needs to be.
Will be, but we want to have all look at all this. I mean, yeah.
I'm trying to.
Are you off the record?
No, we're still live, so anything
Can I
you
ask
say
you one
is,
question? Sorry, I won't, I don't have to.
is it a Steve Ellsbury question,
Yes,
or
it
is
is.
it a Steve Ellsbury?
In your
legal
motion to
legal
continue,
counsel?
was it to a date certain?
No.
We didn't hear, we were
No,
talking.
it was until we come up to a
Perfect.
decision that's
That was
good
Steve
for.
Ellsbury question, real quick.
We'll make it as soon as possible.
Just telling you, I'm making that decision. So then, at the end of that sentence.
We haven't adjourned yet, because we don't know if we want to adjourn just yet.
See, I actually fixed that.
So
Put it in there, go ahead and put it there, see what she says. And for, after the word removed, put
This is your,
Why did it go down?
I think that's
You
what
hit
that's
the,
what-
I hit the lever.
I'm like, if that's a cheap chair, we don't want it.
Hey, Bill? No,
Can everybody fit into them?
I fit, if I do, everybody else can. But I hit my foot when I was moving.
Did you guys adjourn?
Are we
No.
good to adjourn?
Are we
We're
good to
waiting.
adjourn?
Okay.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We adjourn this meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. We're adjourned. Lovely. Man, I tell you what.
Yes, they're
I'm going
getting
back
ready
to
to
work.
turn off.
Okay, then you're coming back later to check buildings?
Yep. Well,
Okay.
if they don't make me work over.
Okay. Okay.
I've got to wait and see if my guy shows up today. He's